Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. No YouTube afterwards, huh? Yeah. Absolutely forbidden. Serious. You heard plenty of lectures this week. And I'm sure in many of the lectures some things were repeated. That's twice, 3 times, said in different ways. Same thing will happen today. The simple reason being that when we search for musical expression, we kind of always search for our own path. But then we somehow end up with the same result, but we discover it differently. Like for example, I was just a little bit on Pavel's lecture, in the beginning of the lecture, when he was talking about different attacks and going with finger and like this and like this. He developed that technique because he was searching for different attacks. He wanted to have different musical results out of different approach to the trick. When I speak about basically the same thing, I speak about it totally different, in different ways. I speak about depth of the attack and using actually finger, wrist or shoulder. But again, I came up with that while I was searching for my own way to express myself in this. One of the biggest questions always for people who learn guitar, for all of you, the biggest question is when you come home and start practicing, what to practice. You can go over and over, repeat the same piece, put the metronome, do technical exercises, but somehow you stay clueless what really needs to be practiced. And then time is being wasted on unnecessary repetitions and unconcentrated studying. So what has to be practiced? There are schools, there are method books, but again, all of those schools and all of those method books were invented by individuals who found their own way of playing. And they said, okay, I'm going to write a book. Paul is writing a book, Dennis is writing a book, I have kind of a book. There's so many, right? If you imagine, to step out of the guitar world, if you imagine 5 greatest pianists, let's say, I don't know, Gould, Pogorelic, Horowitz, Zimmerman, Rubinstein, great pianists. If you take 5 of them, or any other 5 actually, they all have completely different techniques, completely different way of sitting, completely different way of holding hands. One is down, one is up, one is like this, one is like that. And yet they're all great virtuosos. They're all great masters of music, really, who inspire us in the play confidence. So why is that? It's for the same reason. They search how to express their own musical idea. And now I mention musical idea. I think musical idea is the basis of everything. If you know what you want to say with one note, you'll find a way of saying it. But first you have to know what you want to say with one note. In simple terms, if I want to play one note sadly, I'm going to try to attack it sadly, to get in a sad mood, to press sadly with the left hand, in my own way. It's a very simple example. I'm going to play it happy, the same thing. Every note in the score has its meaning. Every single one of them. Some are more important, some are less important. Every connection of the notes, 5 notes in a row, 10 notes in a row, scale, has its direction. It's going somewhere or it's coming from somewhere. It needs to go somewhere. Every harmonic progression, so successive chords, 3 or 4 chords, 2 chords, they have all different function, a different progression, different meaning. And we have to, first of all, before our technique and before our all study plan, we have to search for that idea. Very often I had to play music I really hated. Very often. In some competitions, it's set piece, I have to play some stupid piece without any sense to it. Or, in the school also you have to play pieces you don't like it. But especially for competition, for all those set pieces that I hated, I had to find a will and a way to love it, at least until I play it in the competition. Then I can burn it. But you have to really enter every note and share it with yourself, right? First, to try to give it your own life, right? If you don't, even this bad piece is not going to work. Good piece is not going to work either. You have to. So I really had to. It's painful to work and you go and no. But you somehow set it and give it all you can. So to go back to the 5 pianists, how they search for their musical idea. What does this want to tell us? This wants to tell us that there is no school, there is no recipe which will make you a great musician. People always ask, which book shall I buy? Which text should I study? Which this, which that? There is no simple recipe. If there was, there would be many virtuosos around us, right? Actually, in the 19th century in Germany, that idea was popular with the rise of first virtuosos, right? Paganini and Liszt and all these people. So in Stuttgart, in Germany, they opened up a school for virtuosos, right? And they had their plan and exercises and things, and they had subjects only of octaves on piano and only of trills, like stuff like the first time in history that actually virtuoso playing came in life. Before that, there was nothing of such kind, such sort, and yet no single historical figure came out of that school, right? In the very beginning, experiment failed, but nevertheless, the experiment still kind of taking place, but everybody wants to know how. So all Gould is sitting on a low chair because that was his way. He's humming and playing. For what else he's talking really like a hammer, but that was his way. It is still his way, right? Seraya is all this soft and and weird snaky movements. It's his way. Beam, totally different in the million. Segovia, nothing to do with either one of the first two. If you take any of the historical guitar figures, they're also all different. So as Pavel also mentioned, what I like to say, it's really good to imitate others. Really, take a record and try to play exactly like the recorded. Of a different guitar. But exactly, every note, every vibrato. Don't let your own ego come in front. Your own, I want to play here vibrato, but no, imitate. Try to enter the world of that performance. So if there's no school, what do we do? Of course, we need a teacher to direct us. There are, however, some exercises, some things, some prescriptions to start us, to set us on the right way. I have here set up, actually, when they asked me what's going to be the title of my lecture, I said something about new ideas in the guitar world or in the guitar techniques. And I'm going to kind of mix that with the other things now that I'm here and I saw the way it is here. I'm going to adjust my lecture a little bit. And I'm going to talk about things I find important, which actually, hopefully, some of these ideas can be used by you. So how to develop our own technique? Well, let's take again an example. We have a certain line of music, certain melody. We want to play with a certain character. It doesn't really matter how we play it, which fingerings we play it. It doesn't matter whether we, use left hand, right hand, tooth, head, nose, doesn't really matter. As long as the coming result is what we wish. What we wish for it to be, right? That's how you discover your own thing. Now, within that same phrase, of course, technically it will not be possible because you don't have sufficient technique to do what we exactly imagine. But then you take exactly that little part, which is technically impossible, and you work with that part. How do you work with that part? You invent your own exercises. You really have to understand how the hands work and what creates the problem. There's a little set of indications how to deal with the problem. The first, what we have to do first is locate the problem. Be aware there is a problem, right? As they say, accepting there is a problem is already half a solution, right? So first, but sometimes it's really difficult in the practicing to locate. Is it between this note, is it because of that shift or that shift? Is it because of fingering? Is it because of jump? Is it because sometimes it's difficult. You have to learn how to locate the problem. After that, you have to really take it out, the problem, totally out of the piece. Forget about the piece, and work on that technical detail. Just those 2 notes. If it is 2 notes. Nothing to do with the piece. And I noticed here also how, for almost all of you, or who play for me, it's very, very difficult to start from a given point in the sport. I say, okay, play from here. Where am I? Huh? And that's always a simple proof that you are not working in this way, I'm just saying. What I devise for my own students, it's not a great invention. I do this, and I put it on a score, and I say, okay, play this. So you cannot see anything else on the score. You cannot. They all lost, huh? Even high-level students, they're lost. You forget about the keys. Now, you suddenly have to read sharps and flats and things, and you're lost. But this is so useful. And trust me, it's the only way really to practice to improve. So throughout learning the new piece, you have to work on every single bar separately. You do. Every single situation. Maybe even 2 places within 1 bar. And like this, you really interiorize your whole piece. You basically also learn it by heart automatically because you have to really go really deeply into every single detail. Like latest piece I learned, and maybe I'll show some examples later, is Julia Florida. I just learned recently, right? I'll learn it rather quickly. It's not such a difficult piece. For my level, it's really not such a demanding piece. But nevertheless, I worked really serious hours in it because I really wanted to fix every bar. There are many difficulties there, musical difficulties. The first note is tricky. How to play that first note with that guitar is really tricky. You have to work it out somehow. How much weight, how much shift, what glissando, which speed, how to put vibrato, so many things. I'm still not happy. It's brand new, it's gonna settle. So many other situations in that piece. And I'll take that piece because it's fresh and because most of you know it. Huh? I didn't do much technical practicing in that piece. Basically 0. There is really nothing technically so demanding. All I did was expression practice. Meaning that discovering, so first is to have, we locate the problem, we take it out of the piece, then we analyze it in very detail. Here is where previous knowledge comes into play, or an experience. But sometimes you can see immediately, this is because of that, sometimes not. Very often it's anticipation of some movement. If you put the wrist there before the note, it's already fixed. So, it takes time to discover those things. Once you know it, it goes quickly. So experience does play a role, and of course the teacher, which can help you direct. So, and then you really work on that in different positions, in different strings, with different fingering, everything to make it easier for your brain to process it, right? You always need some time from brain for information to come to the fingers and then to press the fingers and blah, blah, blah. Takes time. But the more you repeat it, the less time it takes. That's why repetition is the first rule in practicing, right? That also has simple explanations. Our brain works with neurons. Neurons move and they kind of connect. Whenever you have a new thought, neurons in the brain connect and they create something which is called synapses, little bridges between themselves, right? And then they separate, right? That's how we learn something and forget something, right? So they all connect and then they separate. But then the more we connect them, in the end they still move. And they create the synapse and we merge them. That's a new explanation, like the modern scientific explanation of learning process, and of memory as well, right? If you hear one person number one time, difficult, unless you use your other techniques to memorize it, difficult to memorize. But if you hear it 10 times every day, you're going to memorize it whether you want it or not, right? Because it's visual thing. And now we come to different, yet very, very important note, or very important notion in practice. I always say it's so much better to practice only half an hour a day, but totally concentrated on every single thing you do, than to practice 4 hours repeating stuff you're not concentrating with. Yeah? Why is that? Everything is in our heads, right? Everything. From our personality to our behavior to our way of playing and to our way of learning. I practice a lot without the guitar, right? In playing, in cars, in buses, in bed, mostly in bed. I imagine my fingers. I imagine a lot. I visualize. Today also this is very popular in sports. All these now new tennis players and all these new kind of new sports, they all visualize before the big competition and match. Musicians have been doing this for a long time. We have lots in common with sports and with sports psychology, a lot. But we have to come on stage and play, right? So there's lots of kind of we have to perform at a certain given moment. It's stressful. The same with sports, especially individual sports like tennis or ski jumping or stuff like that. Again, to go back to scientific, right? They make little experiments with a subject, with a person in the hospital. They connect his brain to all the, the wires and stuff, and they tell him to sit down calmly and to raise this bottle. So he does that. He raises the bottle. And they measure all the activity, what moves, what triggered the muscles, what triggered this, what triggered that. And then the second experiment was the same. So you can sit here, but now don't lift the bottle. Just imagine you lifted the bottle. But really imagine. Imagine you're moving your hand and imagine you're doing this. But just imagine. Don't move. Over 80% of brain activity was the same. That's a huge percentage, huh? Over 80% was the same. So basically this lifting the bottle is a really simple mechanical thing to do. Same as plucking the string is a simple mechanical thing to do. Right? What's complicated in the process is control of it, right? Is the speed of the information process, right? From brain to the fingers. 80% is a lot of work. Imagine if you're sleeping, and just before sleep you're practicing and you do 80% of the work. It's a good amount of work. Really. And now it's difficult to practice in your head. It's not easy. You have to, very often I fall asleep. That's also. The night before the concert I go to bed, I think of my music, I visualize everything, right? And I wake up in the morning. Even in the middle of the bath, you fall asleep. deep concentration. You have to stay there. You can have force on the side of you to help. And when you want to get lost, I imagine really every finger and every single movement. There's lots of movement to imagine. You usually think slower, you play slower in your head than you play in real life. But it's so deep and so concentrated. And of course with time, you get better at it. It's like meditation. First day you cannot meditate because your thoughts are just wandering all over. But after, after experience, you are more and more in control. It's the same as imagining music. Type of meditation. Deep one, right? And once you're able to do that, to go through your piece in your head, whether you're well rested and well concentrated, then you're ready. You know the piece. You won't be able to do it otherwise, You'll always have blackouts, and you'll always have insecurities, and you'll have other troubles like that. But this is also, so not only for keeping memory and keeping track of the piece and the depth of the piece, it's also improving your technical mastery, believe it or not. Some things, like thrills, are so difficult and so fast, we can't, work them so fast. And when we imagine in the slower tempo sometimes, for 5 minutes, just imagining the movement, you try it again, it works faster. Really try it. It really works. Sure, okay. I'm not pretty enough. But little, because really I'd like to see the people. Or maybe do you have side one? You don't have a side one, so? Because we are really in front and I'm looking in front. Yeah, side is better. I touched a really important subject. I will not talk about it anymore. I think it's clear. In the end, you are really most welcome to ask questions. And ask them now. Don't wait for this lecture to finish and then attack me on the street, okay? Ask them now is the time. Okay? I will leave some time in the end, and then you can ask them. So I will not speak too much more about visualization. Let's go back to this. So we found the problem, we located it, right? We took it out, we really worked it, analyzed it, really worked on it hard and deep and really positive way. Then we put it back in the piece. After all of that, we put it back in the frame. And then we go further in the piece to the next problem. So some days I only work on the problem. I don't play the piece at all. I have the mark also. So my students always put in a square box. This for the next time. Invent your own exercises, come to me, see what you can do. You'll see how it works, how you come so quickly with new fingering, new ideas, new ways of solving it. Right? And then I direct it further. But it has to come from you. No teacher will make you great with it. It has to come from within you. So this is all now minor or small places we're talking about. 2, 3 notes, little technical problem, little jump, little tweak, little this, little that. We put it back to the piece. And now we have to work on the phrasing. And now phrasing, people all thought, I remember also when I was a kid, not even kid, when I was 15, 16, I still had no idea. So what do they talk about phrasing? What's this? What? Big word. It's a simple word. It's actually just like a sentence. Speak. If I speak clearly, you'll understand me. I'm not really a clear speaker, but still, I try. I try to emphasize some words more and some words less. And some words are really loud because they're important, right? I have all these ideas for my words. With words it's easy. With notes is exactly the same. To come back to the first point, we have to give a meaning to each note, and then just do that. And when they connect them in the sentence, you have a sentence from beginning to the end. And again, in almost all the lessons I gave here in the master classes, there were problems with phrasing because or either last note was missing or middle, or there was something not correct in the sentence. You have to have a clear idea of the sentence. It's And that's the good news, because in all of the repertoire that you're playing, nobody's playing really contemporary music or contemporary idiom where looking for sentences is difficult, because there's nothing to catch on to. Huh? In this repertoire I heard here, it's always pretty much true, right? Take the sentences out in the word. Imagine you're actors. How would you say that, pronounce it, and to somebody in the audience to make it understandable, right? Okay? Not easy. It's kind of acting, performing work. It's performance practice. Okay? You're all performers. That's much about phrasing. I put it in a few words, but there's much more to it. But this is basically it. If you have clear your sentence, you'll have clear idea what you want to say to it. And then basically you put sentences together, 5 or 6 of them or 10 of them depending on the piece, and you have the clear structure of the piece. These are the things that really work so much more than normal technical. In the beginning, when you pull that letter, it's very clear. Okay, first part, middle part, this, that, repetition, change. Right? Simple, short, not much there. Some are really difficult. Sometimes so once we have every bar worked out deeply, and then after that bar, every sentence worked out, and then after that, every connection of sentences worked out, we have a whole structure and whole piece basically clear in our heads. And we have our musical idea, we know what we want to say, what we want to create, and that's it. Now comes the technical difficulties, which you all want to improve, to play better, to have better control, to play faster, to play, when you get nervous, to be more in control, basically, not to get all the fingers messed up. I'll now speak about that a little bit. I think first thing we need to understand about fingers is the anatomy of the finger. Every finger has 3 tendons. 2 from down and 1 from up. 1 from up, which is called extensor, helps us do this. That's this, right? There are 2 from under the surface. They're called flexors. One is called deep flexor, one is called superficial flexor. One is really under the skin. If you cut yourself with a knife, a bit more. If you cut that one, you're in trouble. Right? And one is deeper inside. One helps us to do this, and one helps us to do this with the teeth. So there are 3 springs, which we pull them from here, and which string we pull, or which combination of strings we pull, we do our thing with that thing. Right? I think it's really extremely important to incorporate this into daily practice. Now, when we imagine, some has 2, doesn't have the 1. When we imagine that we as classical guitarists don't really use the little finger, right? I think that's a really big mistake. What happens with this tendon? So there's 3, 3, 3, 3. So there's like 12 of them, plus 2, 14. They all go here to some place called carpal tunnel. Right? And they're all, when you open your hand, I went once to a doctor's office in Holland, actually, the guy, the crazy guy. He would always wait for patients to die and get permission to get their hands, and he was a doctor for hands. So I saw many dead hands, real dead hands in his office. Opened up with different tendons, and he's also fluid. They're all connected with different tissues here, right? All these tendons. It's all a mess. Fingers do not have muscles. right? They don't have muscles. They have various tissues and they have tendons. Muscles and tissues. So, these 2 or 3 go into the connective tissue. You'll notice what's warming up. What does warming up mean? Why we need to warm up? Or why does the sportsman need to warm up, right? To move his muscles, to move his tendons, to extend it a little bit, to get in the optimal shape for performing, right? Any act. That basically means getting all those tissues also more elastic and flexible, right? And all those tendons. That's warming up, nothing more. Getting circulation better, but that's movement. We don't even, as I mentioned to somebody, we don't even need to warm up with the guitar. We can warm up without the guitar. The guitar is not necessary. But what we need to warm up the most is this part of the hand, right? And now you'll notice if you play a long time, and I'll try to make a little experiment here, if time permits. If you play a long time, for a longer time, like with these 2 fingers, these 2 become lighter, right? Easy to play with, right? If you play some difficult fingering, after that easier one becomes easier. So it's the same process with the little finger. If you practice with the little finger, and any finger, the others will become more flexible. I don't play in concert with the little finger, never. Sometimes some effect, like a special effect, but I never play the real note. I always practice it, even before going on stage. That's 20% of the hand. It's crazy if you don't use it. Careful in the beginning. If you are unconscious and you're not used to it, and now you're going to go practice 8 hours with little fingers, you can develop injuries. Now you can be careful. 5 things a day. Don't go crazy not playing scales like Kavita Yamashita, right? Playing everything with little fingers in an amazing way. But this is a real possibility, right? It is. And then another thing which we're not using, especially as classical guitarists, is all the movement of the extensors, as I mentioned, right? Whereas flamenco guys, they do it all the time since they're like 3 years of age. I think one of the main reasons why flamenco guys are so much more, not the main reason, but one of the main reasons, they're so much technically, let's say, in control than classical musicians, classical guitarists. Because of that. And that. Later there are other things, lower strings, lower tension, different sound, all of that. That's also fine. But these are 2 things which are really important and which help me a lot. I know from my own skin, from my own experience, that this really helps. Really helps. Not from one day to another, but in the long run it really helps. So practicing it as Yada, daily. From the simplest one to make the next year complicated one. But that is difficult technique to develop. That is to say, it's a long run, works long run, really. You need a year. When I started doing this kind of Spanish of Yada, P-A-I, I mean, really, I could not do it. I don't know what I was playing this. It just took me time until hand gets settled, and then really, to feel comfortable with it, it took me a really long time. Now I'm comfortable with it. I'm not even close to some flamenco guys, right? But I'm comfortable enough for my own purpose. But there are other exercises which help extensors, right? Right? Playing scales outwards like a pick. This is a string. I'm playing like this, not like this, normal, but playing like this. Right? And then imagine, I'm talking about the right hand. What about the left hand? It's the same story. There we do use the little finger a lot. This is my favorite finger. In my left hand. I use it for many things in play. But also rasgado in the left hand. Yeah? It will just bring our hand in more optimal shape. In any way you can. You can also play scales with the left hand. You can play rasgado. My dear friend Pavel is doing it also. I think we can go a lot on left hand rasgado. And again, we would come to realization in kind of independent way, right? Of that idea. Then, if you work on this tendon, then not with the door, but from, like imagine if you knock the door, but from far. That's actually difficult to do, but that's the movement we need, right? So all this conjunction of movements, up, down, combination of the tendons, they all help us kind of warm up and bring our hand in more optimal shape for play. I will try. Remind me, let's say, like 3:15. No, 4:15. I'll try to do a little experiment in stage. Okay? But somebody will have to stop me because I have to speak for until 2014. We don't have somebody with time to tell me when it's 4:15. Now we come. So this is about anatomy of the hand. It's really really very important in understanding how to develop our own technique. Now I told you that the other exercises we can come out. Which are the other exercises now come into game all those endless methods? They're not really methods. Method is the wrong term. What we have in the guitar world, especially, I mean, in the 20th century, we essentially have two methods in the real sense of the word. One is Kudo, and one is Candelabra. We don't have any more methods. What we have is a collection of exercises that every guitarist came up with, but they, invented them, or they collected them from other guitarists. Yes? Which is all fine. It's all useful, and I recommend them all. I recommend Scott Tennant, and I recommend many people I recommend, right? But there are many useful exercises within that. Huh? But you'll see and you'll acquire exercises. You can invent them by yourself, or you can just collect them from different sources, seeing from different guitarists, working the problems that you need to work on, right? Your own problems. I can now also take a blackboard and write down, million exercises. I don't know, that's useful as what I'm speaking about right now. Okay, enough about anatomy on the hand, huh? When we think of a hand in an optimal shape, or optimal relaxed shape, let's say, the hand is relaxed, okay? The shape is like this, or after a long New Year's party with all the people on the side of the road, our hand is not like this, or like this, our hand is like this. That means that even this creates tension. Right? This creates tension. Clear tension. If I hold it a long time, especially if my cervix stands a little bit like my wrist stands a little bit like this, it's tension. However, if I do this, it's nothing. And finger will come back on with every single one of us. It will come back. Why will it come back? Because it comes in an optimal tension among tendons, right? One is pulling up, one is pulling down, yeah, like this. I don't need to think about it. I do this and let my hand fall, it's like this. And it will come back in exactly the same. This is really an important fact. Why? Because, and what Carlevaro kind of method is devised on, and later ideas were further developed. Finger, after the initial attack of this thing, should go back here. So when I play a note, I always come back. Of course, I have to do it consciously in the beginning. I have to do it consciously. I have to give an order with my brain. And when I start working on it, luckily I was working with very young, but my teacher was taught me, right? When I play a note, I come back. Second note, M finger, I come back. A finger, I come back. Right? Big mistake if you play and you stay there. Many of you will do that. When we play fast, scales, they come back anyway, because the speed of return anyway, right? If I play two notes, same thing. always going back into the relaxed position whenever starting to move. Right? Always. When I play forward, I go back. Never fade. Right? And I'm always ready for new things, new attacks, right? Always. So the exercise is divided also in Kandavara where you play a little like this, but always coming back to this new I don't think about it anymore. You know, people often tell you, you have to be relaxed when you play all the time. Be relaxed, be relaxed. That doesn't work. I'm not relaxed always when I play. I get tense, when the music gets tense, I get excited, my muscles get all tense, and then when the musical tension is off, I'm dying. Yeah. Something's really loud, some loud thing around, I'm not relaxed. I'm full of energy and I'm kind of, in my fingers at least, my muscular but immediately after, I'll get relaxed. In this way. Why am I talking about this? It's really, I think, of extreme importance for being able to go to the next note or next step. Actually, to come to the key word of all techniques and of all ways of playing flexibility. To be able to come from one position to another at any time, right? Yeah. Okay. To change, to do this, to do that, to do that. Right? Fingers should always be in this kind of position. Left hand, same thing happens. And now we come to the next really important thing which I think about a lot and try to develop the ways of learning it, or to teach it, is the playing with the weight. In the right hand, how heavy we press the string to get a good sound, you know? How much I push, how many kilos do I put in my finger, in my arm to go deep, to delve into the string, to get the sound out. And the same thing in the left hand. Now, a little experiment. I did it in Sunday today in the lesson. If I don't press, we get this, right? If I add pressure, a little bit, I add grams, 100 grams, 200 grams, I come to a clean note, right? Clean note. Now, keep the same pressure there, same amount of grams. Okay. But now I'll increase the pressure here. What happens? I have a buzz, right? Dirty note. Play quieter, clean. Play louder, dirty. So if I want to play louder, what do I have to do? I have to press harder. Simple but really important. Which means if you have one scale and I want to make crescendo, I have to make crescendo with this hand. Press more and more and more and more and more and more. I have to press make crescendo also with this hand. Press more. Right? Both hands into this pressure. People always say, oh yeah, you play so loud because you keep in your stomach. No. I can make little girls, tiny little girls, I can teach them to play really loud. And as a matter of fact, there's many little, body size, really small guitarists who play really loud. Really loud. It's not like your finger, the bigger body mass, right? No. It's the way of the different size. Right? So now there are two things here to talk about. Left hand. If we are applying different pressures all the time, then our hand is kind of moving always in a different way, right? According to the phrase. I always like to call it dancing. Our hand is dancing with it. Like if I have some little baroque thing playing, I play very much with the weight in this hand, right? Very much so. To make a note like, or to play something that says graciously. Today we have something. I forgot what we had something today. Graciously, huh? I need to feel grace in this hand, and it's playing with the weight. And actually, now what I like to do also in lessons, I write down sometimes how many grams I want the student to play. Press 50 grams. I imagine, I have no idea how many grams it is, but I imagine, no? Press 50 grams, press 75 grams, press 250 grams, and then suddenly you see, but you see clear results. So it's kind of simple explanation, really simple, rather banal, huh? But I get results with it because it's clear, right? In the right hand, same thing. As Pavel was talking the other day about different kinds of attacks. And that's so true. And we are actually so limited still, and no method is talking about this yet. New method will come. We talk basically about apoyando and tirando. Red stroke, free stroke. Right? Now, we have to ask ourselves, why do the red stroke and free stroke sound so differently? Why do they sound so differently? Actually, the answer is because of the weight. You can say direction of pulling the string, right? Because when you play tirando, right, you kind of pull the string. Tirar in Spanish means pull. And apoyando means to lean on. Right? Anyway, tirando, we pull. Right? Apoyando, we push. That's why apoyando is generally louder, fuller, rounder, darker, whatever. We get different sort of harmonics from this stuff, right? There's also simple explanation for that. When we pull, if you imagine, nail leaves the string, and the string kind of vibrates like this, right? Which translates itself to the bridge, so this little bone, and then all to the top. It moves on the microscope. It moves like this. It's amazing to see. You can see it on YouTube. Resonation of guitar stops. It's amazing to see. They put a grain of coffee or something, and then play notes with all those stuff. It's really amazing. And we have certain kind of movement. When you play like this, if you imagine I'm pushing, the string leaves outwards. Pulls therefore like this, so the top resonates like this, right? And again, the coffee will go somewhere else on the top, right? Okay, like that's basically it. Okay, enough about that. Now, when we have combination of the movements, again, I was just from mental guys. Let's play apoyando, but sometimes they play really light apoyando, without applying pressure. Right? They get totally different sound in their little scales, sometimes very light, kind of light apoyando. What I use for most of my playing, in the song that we heard the other day, is keep tirando. I always intend to push so much straight when I play. Really, very much. Of course, I do a little trick. I keep my thumb here on the neighboring string. This is how I play. I'll play the concert. Whenever possible, my thumb will be here, and I'll play like this. If my thumb is not here, I will play. And I want a deep attack, and I want an attack which is very similar to apoyando. I didn't prepare my nails really. They're really bad shape now. But actually, I'm going to play one tirando, one apoyando. Quite similar, no? Okay. So I'm controlling the way what it's going to go. So if I play, really, Jose, look at my thumb. Now when I come here, I use even more power from the shoulder. I want this. I want everything, my whole body, the left hand, everything. This chord. to get a really big chord. And I do get a really big chord, and I love it. Right? And I can really put everything I have. I always move my hand there because I want to put everything I have into that chord. I get different results when I'm playing like this. I try saying loud, but I think more productive. You'll hear more. Right? I gotta get it out. I'll do that. But this is now loud playing. Same thing is here. Every melody note has good feeling. In these two notes, I practice it. This is one depth, this is another depth. Chord. One depth, another depth. Very difficult to control on the guitar. This is really some of the new ideas in the last 20, 30 years maybe. But in piano world it has existed ever since. You know, when you hear young pianists coming and starting some big sonata, Beethoven sonata with a big chord, and then all the notes the same, he's young, unexperienced pianist, right? The only great pianists have control of all of those notes, Each finger is pressing how much. Luckily we play mainly only with 4 fingers, so we don't have to control so much, but it's also a bit more difficult than the guitar, because you need 2 fingers to carry. No. Not only one. Right? So this balance within the chord, on piano they work for it like for hundreds of years already, 150 years at least. We're just beginning. Right? So there's a lot of space for all of you guys to develop further and kind of finding what the guitar technique is to still be so immensely developed. Right? And this is all having to do with the weight, how much pressure you apply. Now there's other kinds of attacks and other kinds of there are a whole palette of attacks, variety that we can work with. I shall not go through all of them. But you have to decide them for yourself, How? What? How to get the loudest note on the guitar? What to do, There's so many cool things you can do on the guitar. If you don't search, you will not find it. And if you don't have a desire really to play that note so loud, you will not do research. You'll go home and practice and say, I don't know what to practice. I played it 10 times and I repeated it and no result. You have to have musical idea and then desire to realize it. So this is again really short about the weight, control of the weight, balance of weight in both hands. There's so much more to it. You heard it also in some other lectures. There's so much more to it. Apply for application of pressure, different parts of your hand. But I'm not going to do only some basic ideas today. That's what I wanted to do. You can then develop it further. Right? To work on that. Okay. How are we time? What time? Anybody has a clock? You can see it. 4. Okay. Let's talk about a little bit about the musical expression. I have a little allergy today, so when we learn a new piece, such as Julia Florida, I heard it many times, I know the melody, but I know once you start learning it, you see all the details. Right? I was teaching it also many times. I read it in lessons, but I never really studied it for myself. It's always been different results. So I take the sheet, I start reading it. in the beginning I wondered how to do it. I decided it doesn't take it to cut it, just I was not happy with it. I decided I wanted it to open. And it's still very low, very quietly. And it's not total staccato, it's kind of first note. I was really trying to go and get to the cut on that note. I was imagining also playing without. Maybe I even played once without, I'm not sure. But the idea was really more than a base, and not a group. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about melody. So we go. Very simple. One note and three notes, right? And those three notes always go into the next key. Basic movements, also of my body basic movements. I always go to them. But now, some of them I feel more expressive, or my musical idea is to feel this interval better. But what about the intervals? You know, and guitar is particularly important. But intervals are kind of space. Each interval is space between two notes, right? And there's small spaces. So if I sing do, 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 re, do, mi, do, fa, do, so, do, la, do, si, do, that's really big interval, right? Do, re, do, mi, and I can really feel this space. See the space. Okay? I can also feel it on the guitar if I play it on one string. How far is it? Very far. This is now huge. Right? I need time, physical time. The problem on the guitar is that it's also near. And we all play this without feeling this interval, right? So, very near, but it gets so far. It means that that's why I try to work on it. And then together with the rest of the notes. Do something here. Not how the interval. And then comes the next one, which is even more beautiful, and I love that spot too. So we go. That's beautiful interval, right? I love this place. I can't wait for it to come, to feel. Okay? It's all simple. This is basically my construction of this first page. Right? There's more details, Mark, not this in the detail. Right? The balance of the fingers, colors, intervals, singing, melody, everything is there. So we're talking too much kind of all theoretical, huh? It's not so theoretical. It's all again a feeling. search for the beauty of the note. I'm using, it's all oscillando, deep oscillando, right? It's one beautiful note. I'm using mainly oscillando. I used some apoyando in the song, of course I did. Or I don't know. Apoyando, actually, I want it bigger, fuller, louder, broader. I can do oscillando also, but in this case I want the best color. I really do think a lot about the relations between the notes. Which one is louder, which one is softer. Such as here. Small thing. Even though I'm going to the beat, it's kind of heavier, I play it quieter. That's my own little personal thing. We all play in a different way. You heard many pieces, lots of us play the same pieces, and you heard twice or three times in this festival, and you will acknowledge from all the guitarists you hear them being played in very different ways, right? And yet we all use the same chord, right? And again, to kind of follow, as he said, and as many people said before, it's not what is written in the score that you play differently. It's what is not written in the score, that's what you play differently. This little detail. I ever, however, try to be kind of pragmatic and practical, and try to put it in simple terms, also to be able to teach it later, right? To explain it in words. Because the music is so, uncatchable, undefinable. To put it in words is difficult. So sometimes in physics you have to simplify it and in order to kind of make it real clear. Right? We go on now with the This is an example of harmonic progression. It's a bridge between sections, but I feel really strongly here that harmony wants me to go somewhere. So we go. Plays in that way. I feel that it's one unity, one phrase, right? Here again, my own idea was speed up a little bit. I feel a little bit down in this part. The break in tempo, I get kind of drag. I have really, I feel an urge to speed up. That's what I do. Now the concept. It's a very good example now. It's very kind of semi-cut-off principle. Now something starts in the melody. From here. Right? Kind of long introduction of beautiful melody. I try to play it with one line. One direction. There's no copy. It's one thing. So if I go, I have to practice that. It's kind of difficult. This is how I see it. And it really very much reminds us of Bach. In Chaconne, when things start before the time and then they arrive 2 bars later to the main note. Here I try always to have some kind of more special bass color. Right? Also beautiful melody. This is an interesting point also. Really important note. And yet I have barré and third finger here. Very difficult. But this note has to vibrate. So you try to find a way to vibrate. And I do. Let me ask one question, then we're going to go on. We're going to pull you up here. Very often you see pianists playing a concert, you can see it on YouTube, and you see them put a finger on the note and vibrate. Why? There is no vibrato on piano. Nothing similar to vibrato on piano. They play a note and then they're helpless. Yet, most of them do some weird kind of movement on these notes. That's exactly the point. Illusion. But it's not an illusion for the audience. It's the illusion in yourself, actually. Right? Because music is in our head as you play it, even though notes are coming out, right? Notes are coming out, but it's still even more in my head than it is in there, right? When I play, I very often also put vibrato on the first fret. We don't have vibrato on the first fret. Right? I'll do it. If I feel the note needs to have vibrato, I'll put vibrato on it, even though you don't hear vibrato. But yet that will determine when my next note comes. When you imagine pianists, they're doing the and then this and going to the next note, right? For example, right? But still, this is their state. Or when you saw the I never remember the name. The guy with the steel guitar, first day of the concert, right? How? Yeah. So when he did some vibrato notes, and he would go with the other hand doing this with the note. That's the same thing. That's kind of obvious thing because you can hear it really well. In piano, you don't hear it. You just have to imagine it. But again, it is not made for the audience. It's made for the pianist. I don't do vibrato here for the audience. I do it for the phrase, for the note. Note is the most important thing here. Right? Note is what we are dealing with now. You have to kind of see really how you can use you have to be in the service of the note. It's not the opposite. Guitarists and musicians very often forget that. You're putting yourself in front of the note. It's not the note is in the first place. The note is our life, right? The note. You have to do everything to give it life and give it meaning, in our hands. But the note is the main thing. Right? So there is this illusion that will lead us. So it's saying maybe here's not illusion because I found my way in my hand to vibrate that way. Not much, maybe not. But some of you will not be able to do it. I said I like my little finger, remember earlier? This is, and now if you put it too much, I can't. Now here I'm very much influenced by the instrument. When I play too loud on this instrument, I'm not so happy with the outcome and the tuning and everything. I was trying different things in here and everything, and I'm still not convinced. I think I will probably change it in the future. So for now I play quiet. Just not to be out of tune. I mean semi, like a mezzo piano. Because it's nice to open up. It's also a possibility, right? But for now I play. I worked a lot on this also because I was trying different things. It's difficult to connect, especially also for not such a flexible hand of the young student. Very connected. fingers per one note in the guitar world. 2. 1, 2. If it's open string, I need 1, but only for the open string, I need 2. If it's very fast, for each note I need 2 fingers. There's lots of things to coordinate, to synchronize. Too many. More than any other instrument. Piano, daga daga da. Violin is the bow, daga daga da. Trumpet can be tricky